Humans aren't born out of laying around on their asses. We're the dominant species. We built all this. We're powerful, and we're beautiful, and we're ready to build the next level of civilization in God's plan. If you love God and you want to build a pro-human future, you must become the victor. But you have to believe in yourself first. This is the truth, and everyone knows it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I promised that we were going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about this. Marvel Rivals is absolutely killing it right now. The player count is skyrocketing. The game is getting bigger and bigger. People are talking about it. And I wanted to use this image to see if I can't maybe have you come to the conclusion before I even have to say a word as to why one of these games failed and is forever going to be in oblivion, and one game is doing phenomenally well. The aesthetics of the game on the top, Marvel Rivals, is just more pleasing, more interesting, more dynamic, more compelling. Whereas the bottom set of characters look like they were created out of a misfit reject pile. The designs look terrible. They were created with DEI and ESG. Apparently it's not DEI anymore. Apparently it's DEIB or DIB, which is the stupidest thing because belonging. Well, let me just tell you, if you are woke, if you are left-wing, if you are somebody that is part of this degenerate cabal of mentally ill freaks, you don't belong in gaming. In fact, I would go one step further. You don't belong in entertainment. You don't belong in a role that has you in creative control over something because you're not intelligent enough or mature enough or passionate enough. Now, you're passionate for mental illness and degeneracy and all the other sort of filth that you believe in, but you're not passionate for world building and aesthetics, character creation, fan outreach, customer service. Those things mean nothing to you, but they are the most important thing. And so you've got Marvel Rivals. These characters like Black Widow, Storm, Odin. These are characters that are beloved because of the movies and because of the comic books for years. But even if you did away with all of that, the characters just look cool. And the game itself, from everything that I've heard, the game plays well. And I got to tell you, a game that plays well, a game that can basically take all of the aesthetic elements and put it into a fun experience, that game is going to win every single time. Look at these characters on screen. They just look cool. Look at the effects. They look cool. This looks like a compelling game. Like, just from an immediate observation, you can tell why this is doing so well. And so, my main point in making this video is we need to have a heart-to-heart conversation. If you're a game dev, you need to make games more like this. I don't mean every game needs to be this exact one or that you need to copy it, but look at the detail that went into this. Look at the passion that went into this. Look at the outfits, the characters, the moves. That's the Hulk throwing Wolverine. And I get it. There are going to be some independent titles where you're not going to be able to pull on that nostalgic string. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you have good-looking, competent, well-done characters with innovative and interesting gameplay, people will flock to your game. And this thing about, the video game industry, the AAA industry is dying. It's dying because it failed to understand that gamers are and always will be your audience. You see, back in 2013, there were a string of articles saying that gamers don't have to be your audience. You don't have to make games for gamers. You don't have to write articles for gamers. And that was a lie. That was put forward by a bunch of weirdos that were game journalists, but they were ashamed of gaming. They wanted to be mainstream news anchors talking about current political issues. They wanted the gravitas that came with like CNN, ABC, MSNBC. They wanted what they felt like was the gravitas behind these names. They wanted to feel like they were somebody important, and they just weren't. And they always resented gamers for that. Now, most of these people have been fired, let go. Their publications have been, reduced to nothing but ash. But you look at this game and it's dynamic, it's colorful, it's interesting. I don't see any, fat storms running around with ugly aesthetics. It's just everything about this game that we've seen. Look at, you can not like Marvel. I totally get it. What they've done to the movies, it's terrible. They wanted to go with the MCU, and I totally get you not wanting to be anywhere near that. The stories have basically become unwatchable. But this is pretty cool. This is just pretty cool. Like, I understand why this game is doing well. And the reason why I'm making this video is obvious. Because somebody needs to be the one to make the case that this is the future of gaming. Making a game that's fun and fluid and dynamic and interesting and compelling. The men look like men, the women look like women. There's no ambiguity, there's no in-between, there's no pronouns. At least that I've seen. If they add pronouns, that'll be disappointing, but you're not inundated with it. It feels like an authentic, fun, fast-paced gaming experience. And that's exactly what gamers want. If you make a game that combines all of these elements and you do it well, gamers will be your marketing, they'll be your advertising. Their word of mouth is worth 100 bought and paid for shill articles. It's funny. BioWare is currently on Twitter putting out a picture of Dragon Age the Veilguard with a bunch of 10 out of 10s from these journalists. And they're getting laughed at in the comment section. Like, who believes this? Who believes that this game is a 10 out of 10? And by the way, I just want to pull this up real quick. You should never put your faith in the gaming press. You should never do it. Look at their review. Look at their review score for Dragon Age the Veilguard. Now, I want you to look at the audience score. Look at what they gave Marvel Rivals. Yeah. Audience score high. Critic score, middling. But they gave Veilguard this type of score. Now, the reason why I show you that is because right now, after a month, we look at 89,000 people was the top concurrent player count. And I had just refreshed this. In fact, I'm just refreshing it now. The number of people playing this game at this moment is 7,184. Marvel Rivals. Yeah. Yeah, you see that? It's 480,000. 480,000. And right now, there's 358,000 people playing the game. But the press says that this is the worst game. This is a game that's 10 points beneath Dragon Age the Veilguard. My point in bringing this up, my point in talking about this, is simply to highlight the fact that there's no amount of gerrymandering or alterations or fixing what is a very basic formula. That basic formula is this. If your characters are fat and ugly and are degenerate and covered in rainbow pride symbols, if there are pronouns, if they're all the markings of this degenerate, disgusting cult of bottom-feeding trash, people are going to immediately tune out, and it doesn't matter if it's 1% or 10% or 20%, it's going to hurt your bottom line. We're seeing this with Grand Theft Auto 6. You see, 6 months ago, it was unthinkable to criticize Grand Theft Auto 6. This game's going to be the biggest game ever. It's going to smash every record. It's going to be this behemoth. And it still very well may be. But the conversation online has shifted and people are not really as excited as you would think they would be. And a lot of that is because the behind the scenes is starting to get leaked. And we see that behind the scenes, the company has been told to tone down the jokes as it relates to transgenders and as it relates to marginalized communities. So you mean to tell me that there's an activistic group behind the scenes at Rockstar that's telling people to tone down the jokes for transgenders and for marginalized communities? Really? And you think that game's going to resonate as well? That game's going to be as good when you've got them actively tone policing and taking out jokes and changing things to sort of, add in a flavor of feminism and toxic wokeness? You think it's going to be as good? No, of course not. The way that you make your game, the way you should, is to eliminate all social messaging that is as overt and grotesque as the one from Concord. If you want to send a social message with your game, so be it. There's nobody who can stop you. But just be aware, just understand that there are going to be people who disagree with you. And what I find is that a lot of these companies, they treat their ideology like it's a secret, like it's a club, like they can't let any of the gamers see it before the game releases. And then the game releases and it's filled with that crap. And then ultimately they get slammed. I may do a video on Matt Hansen, the art director for Avowed. How he may actually be a hero. I know that people don't like him because he said a lot of obnoxious and really terrible things. Some very racist things. But I want you to think about it. If not for him, if not for his outbursts, we would never have known about the internal workings. We wouldn't have near the information that we do. He may actually be the hero of the story that, I'm not the hero that Gotham needs. I'm the hero that it deserves, whatever. I'm not the hero it deserves, but I'm the one it needs. He may be the hero that the gaming industry needed to, bring light to this issue. And by the way, let me just reiterate something very, very basic here. Marvel Rivals is going to continue to do well as long as they don't nerf a bunch of things and added pronouns and, LGBTQ degenerate filth. But if they start tinkering with stuff and nerfing stuff and basically trying to find ways to make the game less fun and add in like grotesque microtransactions stuff, they could kill the game too. But from an aesthetic standpoint, I mean, look at the characters. They're obviously coming into this industry to compete. They're obviously coming in to compete with Overwatch 2. There's no question about that. Look at the designs of the characters on the top. Those were designed by a team of people that had the task of, okay, we're getting serious. Look at Concord and just look at it. Just marvel at it. These were supposed to be rivals. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your support. What did IGN ultimately give? What was the verdict? Seven, 8. Oh, one step above. But then again, they're not exactly known for their accuracy in reviews. They gave an 8. No, I think they gave a 9 to Veilguard, which should be criminal. I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it. Thanks for watching. See you next time.